Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Sukma and I'm from class 4C. And my student identification number is 12450300053. And today I will present my final assignment for the Translation Indonesian-English course. And the title of my presentation is Anatomy of Translation, Cross-Genre Strategies. In this presentation, I will compare the translating strategies used in informative text, specifically news articles, and expressive text such as literary works. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, first is dualism of translation purposes. Translation can be understood as having two major purposes depending on the type of text. The first is data and text, which applies to informative text, such as news articles. In this case, the focus is on accuracy, numerical data, and journalistic objectivity. The translator's loyalty is directed toward factual precision, and the main challenge is to maintain absolute accuracy without distorting meaning. The second is emotion and style, which applies to expressive or literary text. Here, the focus is on narrative freedom, emotional depth, and character development. The translator must remain loyal to the author's voice while also preserving stylistic intimacy and emotional impact. In short, a translator must adapt to become either a rigid journalist or a flexible artist, depending on the blueprint of the source text. Next is informative context. In informative text, the writing style is concise, factual, and chronological. For example, in a news report from CNN Indonesia, in the entertainment section, the film Colony is reported as the second highest grossing Korean film in Indonesia. The data must be translated accurately, including 1,062,394 viewers in Indonesia and 1,511,802 viewers per week in Malaysia and more than 5 million viewers in Korea. The key challenge in translating this type of text is maintaining clarity and precision in reporting, while also adapting it into natural English journalistic style. Next is pillars of news text accuracy. There are three main strategies used in translating informative text. First is literal translation, which is the direct transfer of meaning with a parallel structure. For example, film zombie terbaru sutradara Yoon Sang-ho becomes director Yoon Sang-ho's latest zombie film. Second is borrowing, which retains specific industry terms such as zombie, box office, and blockbuster to maintain naturalness in global entertainment discourse. Third is proper non-consistency, where names such as Sukma, Soulbox, and Jun Ji-hyun are kept unchanged to ensure factual accuracy and prevent misinterpretation. Next is dynamic adjustment. In addition to basic translation strategies, dynamic adjustment is also important. The first is transposition, as proposed by Finney and Dalbernat, which involves changing grammatical structure. For example, an Indonesian press meaning achieving great success on the international film scene is restructured into more natural English syntax. The second is modulation, which shifts perspective. For example, menyapu tangga box office became sweeping the box office charts. The addition of charge makes it more natural in English entertainment reporting. And next is journalistic text quality evaluation. The translation of informative text can be evaluated based on three aspects. First is meaning, where all information such as plot, ranking, and descriptions is preserved. Second, factual accuracy, where numbers, names, and chronology are maintained 100% correctly. Third is clarity and naturalness, shift to standard English journalistic vocabulary such as moviegoers and zombie outbreak. The final result ensures that English readers receive the same informational value as Indonesian readers, but in a professional journalistic tone. Next is expressive context. Now we move to expressive texts, which are more emotional, informal, and cultural. The third text comes from a portion of Chicken Noodles Before Dying by Brian Krishna. The text contains dialogue, philosophical metaphors, and informal language, including slang such as gue and lo. The main challenge in this type of translation is preserving emotional intimacy between characters and maintaining narrative freedom without making the translation sound stiff or losing its emotional soul. Next is metaphor and perspective modulation. For example, the sentence, jangan salahkan orang lain jika ia mati, tapi salahkan diri lo sendiri karena percaya kalau mereka nggak akan melukaimu, is translated into don't blame others when they hurt you, blame yourself to believing they never would. This is an example of modulation where the focus shifts from the act of being hurt to the belief of not being hurt. This shift creates a more natural and emotional impactful English expression. Next is cultural adaptation. Cultural adaptation is also very important in expressive translation. For example, everyone is forced to help themselves is better adapt as everyone is forced to fend for themselves, which sounds more natural in English. And another example is, for a smoking friend is adapt into here it goes well with a cigarette, which better reflects natural conversational English. Next is style, rhythm, and intimacy. Maintaining rhythm and emotional tone is crucial in literary translation. Short sentence such as aku terdiam became I fell silent and kami sama-sama diam becomes we both remained silent. This preserves narrative tension. One major challenge is translating Indonesian slang like gue and lo, which has no direct equivalent in English. To compensate, the translator used informal contractions and conversational tone, such as don't and they will, to maintain intimacy. Next is comparison matrix. This slide summarizes the comparison between the two text types. For informative text, the main goal is the accurate transfer of data and chronology. Loyalty is focused on objective facts and techniques such as literal translation, borrowing, and transposition are dominant. The constraint is rigid grammar and formal vocabulary. For expressive text, the goal is to transfer nuance and emotion. Loyalty is focused on the author's voice and character. The dominant techniques are adaptation and modulation, and the constraint is cultural equivalence and conversational rhythm, including slang. And the last slide is philosophy of the translator. The translation is not a static mathematical formula, but rather a series of strategic decisions. A translator must be able to act as a precise journalist when dealing with informative text, and transform into an empathic artist when working with literary text. This approach integrates the principles of cultural adaptation by Vinay and Dalbernot and semantic perspective adjustment by Newmark. And these theories highlight that translation is not only about transferring words, but also meaning, culture, and intention. And in conclusion, translation is highly dependent on context and text type. Informative texts require accuracy and clarity, while expressive texts require creativity and emotional sensitivity. Therefore, a translator plays an important role not only as a language converter, but also as a cultural mediator. And I think that's all from me. Thank you for your attention, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.